In the glamorous world of 1980s European luxury cars, one vehicle stood out by breaking all the rules. Picture this, a comfortable four-door family sedan with the heart of a Ferrari supercar. It wasn't a custom build or an underground modification. This was a factory-made machine that combined Italian luxury with Ferrari performance, creating one of the most unusual cars ever made. The Lancia Thema 8.32 was a bold experiment that challenged what people thought was possible in a luxury sedan. But despite its incredible engineering and unique character, this Ferrari-powered Lancia became one of the automotive world's best-kept secrets. In the mid-1980s, the European car market was going through big changes. Luxury car makers were looking for ways to stand out, and Lancia, one of Italy's oldest car companies, had an idea that seemed crazy at first. Take their ordinary Thema sedan and put a Ferrari V8 engine in it. The project started when André Chardonnet, who sold Lancias in France, suggested this wild idea in 1985. This wasn't just any engine swap, it was a carefully planned project that would create one of the most special sedans of the 1980s. The story begins with the Tipo 4 project, where four car companies, Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Saab, and Lancia, worked together to create a platform they could all use for their high-end cars. This teamwork led to four different cars: the Lancia Thema, Fiat Croma, Saab 9000, and Alfa Romeo 164. But Lancia wanted their version to be extra special. The regular Thema, designed by the famous Giorgetto Giugiaro at Italdesign, was already a good-looking car. But what happened next would make it legendary. The engine they chose was a modified version of the 2.9-liter V8 from the Ferrari 308 Quattrovalvole. But they couldn't just drop a Ferrari engine into a front-wheel drive sedan and call it a day. The engineers had to make some serious changes. They switched from a flat-plane crankshaft to a cross-plane design to make the engine smoother and more suitable for a luxury car. The result was 215 horsepower in the first versions, which could push the car from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.8 seconds and reach a top speed of 149 miles per hour. Cars with catalytic converters made slightly less power at 205 horsepower, taking 7.2 seconds to reach 60 miles per hour with a top speed of 146 miles per hour. The Thema 8.32 exterior design was subtle but special. You might miss it if you didn't know what to look for. The main clues were the 8.32 badge on the grille and the unique 5-spoke alloy wheels. One of its coolest features was an electric rear spoiler that would pop up when needed for better stability at high speeds and hide away when cruising around town. The car measured 180.7 inches long, 69.1 inches wide, and 56.7 inches tall, with a wheelbase of 104.7 inches. Inside, Lancia went all out with luxury. They used high-end Poltrona Frau leather for the seats and real wood trim on the dashboard and door panels. The seats weren't just comfortable, they were designed to keep you in place during spirited driving. The dashboard had extra gauges for oil temperature and pressure, giving drivers all the information they needed about their Ferrari engine. The technical specs were impressive for the time. The car had Bosch KE3 Jetronic fuel injection and Marelli Microplex electronic ignition for precise engine control. The brakes were serious business too, with 11.6-inch ventilated front discs and 9.9-inch rear discs. The steering system was specially designed by ZF called Servotronic, which would change how heavy the steering felt based on how fast you were driving. The suspension setup showed how much thought went into making this car work well. Up front, they used McPherson struts with coil springs and an anti-roll bar. The rear had an independent setup with its own coil springs and anti-roll bar. This combination made sure the car could handle both comfortable cruising and aggressive driving. Lancia built the Thema 8.32 in two series. The first series ran from 1986 to 1988 and saw 2,370 cars built. The second series, made from 1989 to 1992, added another 1,601 cars, bringing the total to 3,971 units. Each car was built at Lancia's S. Paolo plant in Turin, Italy. They made most of them in left-hand drive, except for one special order that was converted to right-hand drive by TAC Motor Company in South Africa in 1987. Some special versions were even more rare. They made 64 numbered cars split between both production runs, painted in Ferrari red. These are among the most sought-after versions today. The car wasn't cheap when new. In Germany, prices started at 72,600 Deutsche Marks for early models and went up to 110,000 Deutsche Marks for later ones. This high price meant very few were sold in some markets. Fewer than 10 made it to the UK officially. One of the most interesting stories about the Thema 8.32 involves Enzo Ferrari himself. The legendary founder of Ferrari chose a Thema 8.32 as his personal car in his later years. This choice by one of the most important figures in automotive history shows just how special this car was. The Thema 8.32 competed with some serious performance sedans of its time. Its rivals included the Audi 100 Quattro, BMW M535i, Ford Sierra RS Cosworth, Saab 9000 2.3 Turbo S, and the Vauxhall Lotus Carlton, Opel Lotus Omega. Each of these cars had their own approach to high-performance luxury, but none did it quite like the Lancia. When the Thema 8.32 was introduced in 1986, it represented something totally new in the automotive world. Here was a front-wheel drive luxury sedan with a Ferrari engine, a combination that seemed impossible. The 2.9-liter V8 engine wasn't just borrowed from Ferrari, it was carefully modified to work in this completely different application. The engine made 210 pound-feet of torque at 4,500 revolutions per minute, all managed through a 5-speed manual transmission. The car's development showed how creative automotive engineers could be. Taking an engine designed for a mid-engine sports car and making it work in a front-wheel drive sedan was no small feat. The modifications weren't just about making it fit. They had to change the engine's character to match what luxury car buyers expected. This meant focusing on smooth power delivery and refined operation rather than raw performance. Every Thema 8.32 was built with attention to detail that matched its special nature. The assembly process at the S. Paolo plant in Turin wasn't just about putting parts together. Each car was built to order and went through extensive testing before being delivered to its new owner. This careful approach to manufacturing helped ensure that every car lived up to its premium positioning. Today, the Lancia Thema 8.32 stands as a unique piece of automotive history. It shows what's possible when engineers and designers think outside the box and aren't afraid to try something different. The combination of a Ferrari V8 engine with a practical sedan body created a car that still fascinates enthusiasts today. The car's influence can be seen in modern high-performance luxury sedans. While no manufacturer today puts Ferrari engines in their four-door sedans, the idea of combining serious performance with luxury and practicality has become common. Cars like the BMW M5, Mercedes-AMG E63, and Audi RS6 follow the basic formula that the Thema 8.32 helped establish, taking a practical sedan and giving it supercar-level performance. The Thema 8.32 remains a symbol of a time when car manufacturers were willing to try bold experiments. It represents an era when engineering creativity and ambition could overcome practical limitations to create something truly special. While it might not have been a commercial success, it earned its place in automotive history as one of the most interesting and unusual cars ever made.